All right. Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. All right. So, on this episode of the Healthy Hangout, we have our amazing guest speaker, Julia Cartee. She's a Diamond Senior Ruby. And I just want to give you a little bit of background about myself and how I met her as I introduce her. So, I'm a Diamond with Plexus. My 6 year mark is coming up here in August, actually. Kind of, I'm surprised at how long it's been. It feels like a blink of an eye, yet also like, oh, that's like feels like almost a decade. It's crazy. I'm a diamond, and I ranked diamond back in 2020 at the height of a lot of different things, and I had a lot of fall off. I'm not a re-ranking diamond currently, and I'm doing a lot of rebuilding. A lot of the people that were with me when I went diamond aren't with me anymore, and I'm trying to rebuild my team and find women that love this as much as I do. And so I just recently went to the leadership excellence training that Plexus has in Scottsdale. I had been to it before, and I went with some friends. And this time, when it came in my email, I didn't know anybody else going. And I decided, you know what? Like, I just felt called that God wanted me to go, even though I didn't know anybody else going. I mean, of course, I end up, knowing people once I'm there, but I didn't have any friends with me. I was going purely for myself and my business. And I went, and Julia was one of our three speakers that we had. And I had never met her before. And we sat by each other on the bus and just kind of had like a moment of connection. And I was just super inspired by her story and how she treats this business, because I saw in her care for people. And I mean, this girl, she told us she had 16 bridesmaids. I mean, she has care for people, right? And I loved her speaking about culture, and just was really inspired in this way that's not so businessy but relational. It was really, really inspirational to me. And so when I got back and I said, would you mind speaking? And of course, this is her favorite part, is the Zooms and connecting with people, and she was happy to speak. And I thought, you know what? I would really love to hear, how does she bring up Plexus in like day-to-day life, out and about, grocery store, at your kids' events, even on Facebook? How does she bring it up? Because I just think that that's absolutely one of her strengths. And I know that that's something that makes a lot of us nervous sometimes. And not only how do you bring it up, but then how do you follow up? I mean, how do we go from, okay, now let's get connected and really talk about what we were talking about? And I just thought that she would be a wonderful example of how to do that, because she's just such a great personality. So this is the wonderful Julia, and I hope that you are just as inspired as I was, being taught by her a couple weeks ago.
Oh, thank you. I see some familiar faces. I was like, didn't really ask me any questions about this call. I'm like, oh, I know Candy and Dathan. There's a lot of you, that and Lisa. I see a few of you that I know. So this is exciting. So thank you for having me. I am in my closet. This is where I work these days. My family moved to Florida about a little over a year ago, and somehow with my five kids, I have five children. This is the most quiet place. My kids have to go through three doors to find me, and they probably will find me before the call's over. But I hide out here on Mondays. Mondays is my major work day. They know that. I celebrated 10 years in Plexus this month, which is crazy. It has been a decade. I feel like my kids have grown up in Plexus. I am from Alabama. That's how I know many of them. And I actually moved from Texas to Alabama 2 weeks after I joined Plexus. So when she asked me what to talk about, I'm like, well, I've moved and I've lived in Tennessee. So since joining Plexus 10 years ago, I've lived in Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. So I've had to get better at meeting new people and sharing with them what I do without saying, hi, I'm Julia, I sell Plexus, because that doesn't really work, y'all. So, uh, oh, sorry. I typically have the rights to mute people, but I don't here. So I'll let y'all handle that. I did want to share with you a little bit how I got started, because I feel like it kind of gives you some tips. So my story probably started about 14 years ago. I did move to Dallas, Texas. I'm assuming it's okay if I'm not completely compliant. Is that okay? This is all team members. Okay. Good. So I had little ones. I had 2, 3, I think a 4 and a 5-year-old at the time, or 6-year-old. I had doorsteps, and Andrea Mitchell, you might know her. She's one of the diamonds in Plexus. And in case, again, I don't know who's here, but all diamond means is that we have a really great women, a strong team that has allowed us to reach the top of the company. You cannot grow in this company without other strong leaders with you. So when I say I'm Diamond Senior Ruby, that just means I have been blessed with a lot of great women and men who love these products and love this business. And so in Texas, I met Andrea Mitchell. I knew I wanted nothing to do with Plexus. In fact, my husband and I he had been in the ministry for about 9 years, and we had said that we would never do network marketing. We would never sell anything. I knew nothing about network marketing other than I had been put in the position to spend money I didn't have, and I felt pressure to buy stuff from friends because I'm a people pleaser. And I felt like I needed to buy it. And we just made this agreement. We were never going to do it. How can ministry and selling stuff go hand in hand? And so when I started seeing it on people's Facebook, um, I found the unfollow button. Okay. I don't unfriend you because that's mean, but I literally, if you sold Ronan and Fields, if you sold Plexus, I think Avocare was big back then, I just unfollowed you. I wasn't mean. I just did it. Then it seems like every woman in my church started selling Plexus. I went to First Baptist Dallas, which is a huge church. So Ellen Ford is a diamond. Amber Vulba does a diamond. Angie Zumwalt, she's my sponsor. She's a diamond. They all started selling. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, and I said, if you mention Plexus to me, I will not come back to Bible study. I was that girl. So the reason I want to share that part of your story is if you have a friend who has looked you in the eyes and said, I want nothing to do with your business, I'm never going to buy from you, they could be the next diamond on your team. And that's what I want to share with you. They loved me where I was at. They were like, I mean, I don't know really what their thoughts were. They continue. We continue to have play dates. We continue to go to dinners together. We continue to have Bible study together. Um, I don't know if they knew I unfollowed on Facebook, but they kept sharing. And sometimes I would go snoop on their pages to see what they were sharing about because I was curious. So love your friends and family, even if they've told you eyeball to eyeball, I'm not interested. Okay. Love them where they're at. Don't make your whole friend circle. I mean, we have such a great community here. I love my team. Jenny knows Monday night, right after this call, I have my team call. It's my favorite time. But you got to have friends outside of this circle. You got to continue to grow that network. So love people where they're at. So several months passed, and Andrea saw that my two youngest had severe eczema. Okay. And I mean, we went to allergists, dermatologists, nothing was clearing up their eczema. We were doing bleach baths to keep it from not being infected. It was terrible. And she gave me a bottle of the ProBio 5 at a play date. We were at McDonald's. We were real healthy. Play dates at McDonald's. And she gave me a ProBio 5 and some body cream. And my thought was, remember, I was like, oh, she is really trying to stuff this stuff down my throat. And I went home, I opened it up because Lottie was 2 at the time, put it in some milk, gave it to her, and I was like, it doesn't work. I think I gave it to her like twice. Okay, lesson number 2 for my story is A, she was loving me. She saw that our family needed these products. I had never even heard of a probiotic, y'all. I had never heard of gut health. That really could be like parentheses lesson number 3. If you know nothing about gut health or products, like it's like you're speaking man to this day, 10 years in, I couldn't tell you the enzymes in ProBio 5. Okay. You do not have to know these products inside or out. You do have to love people. Okay. You do not have to be an extrovert because I'm actually an introvert, but you have to love people. So she gave me the products, said they didn't work. How many of you have had customers or team members or family members tell you the products don't work? Guess what? Those same people can be your next diamond. If you continue to be real with them, be authentic, love them. I was like, they don't work. Also, just like the products and the business, it takes consistency. You cannot take these products for even 1 month, I don't believe, and get the results you're probably looking for, the full results. Now, some people have faster results than other. Same thing with this business. Every once in a while, you'll sign somebody up that goes fast start gold, yay. But most likely, it's going to take you 1, 2, 3, 4 years to really, even beyond that, to hit your goals. This business and these products take consistency. And for most people to stay consistent, they've got to have a good support system. And that's your job here. Your job is to help people stay consistent on these products and to stay consistent with the business, which means I think Genevieve said it great at Jewels of Excellence. Is she said, we get to be people's encouragers. We get to be an encourager for a living, and that's um, really what you are. So she gives me the products. I say they don't work. What she didn't know is, and I always say people have different light bulbs that turn on. She thought my light bulb, she thought I needed these products. But what our family really needed was this business. She had no idea we were struggling to make ends meet. We were not making ends meet. We had 4 young ones. My husband was working like 70, 80 hours a week, driving an ice truck. He was supposed to be getting his master's. I was passionate about staying at home with my kids. It didn't make sense. I have a teaching degree, but to go teach when you got to put 2 in daycare, I mean, they just don't pay teachers that much. And I just didn't want to. So my husband lost his job, and I guess it was probably about 8 months later, and that's really when we hit rock bottom. And because those women, Angie, Ellen, Andrea, they still were my friend. They didn't cut me off. They continued to share. They could have easily said, "Oh my goodness, I'm being annoying. I'm not going to post as much." They could have easily said, "That girl at church said she wasn't going to come back to church if I mention Plexus again. I'm scared. I better not post anymore." Like, no, they continued to be consistent. They didn't worry about me. I mean, they were growing their teams over here. Um, and that made me curious. And so I asked Andrea one morning at breakfast, I said, "How much money are you making with Plexus?" And she told me she was Sapphire at the time. And I about fell off my chair. I was like, "You're making that much money with the pink drink?" And I said, "If you can make that much money, I can make $1,000 a month." And that is why I joined. I jumped in. I went home, I bounced my paycheck, I bounced my banking account. I do not recommend that. But I do want to stop and say, if you're only sharing about the products, you're doing a disservice to your audience, because that friend, and right now, especially, I tell everybody, you don't know what people's bank accounts look like right now. People are struggling, even people making a lot of money. It costs a lot more to live right now than it did 10 years ago. And so we've got to be talking about the business. We've got to boldly be talking about the business. I went to lunch with Andrea the day she went Emerald. Like, it was a Sunday. And it's funny, we make fun of it. Her graphic to go Emerald, I'm cut off of the picture. You can see like the side of my dress. And I remember going, "Oh, you want a Lexus? That's good. Oh, you go to Hawaii? That's good." Like, that stuff didn't ring true to me. I was trying to pay for groceries for kids. It wasn't until I knew how much cash she was bringing in for her family that I was like, "Oh, I need that." Now, I'll tell you, I'm very thankful for all the free cars in my parking lot right now because I have 2 teenage drivers, all of them paid for by Plexus. And I love my Hawaii trip. I'm taking my 2 older girls. It's her senior year. So, I'm thankful for those things. But what turned my light bulb on was the paycheck. So, are you posting about the business and the products, but really the business right now, guys? And you might say, "I'm not Sapphire. I'm not making that big enough paycheck." That's okay. I didn't want to make 10,000, 40,000, $60,000 a month. That wasn't my goal. I never dreamed, y'all. I wanted to make $1,000 a month. And we know most people, $300 to $500 a month would make a huge difference in their family. If I remember being able to take my kids to Chick-fil-A for playtime and being so excited because I had to tell him no in Dallas so many times. Like, "Mama can't," like, "That's not in our budget. We can't go get Chick-fil-A." I mean, you're talking about a $30 bill, not anymore, but back then it was like $30. So when you get paid, what, on the 15th, be sure, even if it's $50, you can post and say, "Payday, taking the kids to Chick-fil-A." And there's a mama out there that's going to say, "Man, I wish I could take my kids to Chick-fil-A. Maybe I should go check into what she's doing." So, I know this is off so fast forward, I jumped in with both feet in the business, and kinda to what Jenny asked me to talk about is called up all my friends, okay? I have always lived a few places. I went to Troy University, and I was in a sorority. Now, again, I am like sheltered little preacher's kid, and still am at 42. But I did make a lot of friends in college, and I kept up with them. I had 16 bridesmaids. I love people. And so I called them, and this was really my sales pitch, not the best, but I said, "Don't make fun of me, because I had some insecurities. It's okay. You can do it scared. You can do it a little embarrassed like I did." Because I said, "Don't make fun of me. My friends in Texas are making money and we need extra income, and these products work." So I had started, when I realized how much money she's making, I started giving the kids the probiotic, in case you're wondering, and it started clearing up their skin. Okay. So their eczema cleared up for the first time ever. So I knew the products worked. My kids were my guinea pigs. And so I called them up, said, "Friends are making money, products work. Do you want to do this with me? And if you don't, just don't make fun of me." Like, that literally was my sales pitch, y'all. I'm a strong believer. If you have their cell phone number in your if you have their phone number in their phone, they should not find out about why you love this business or these products off social media. I love social media. I think you should be posting. We should all be posting. It's wonderful. But the people that you love, who you're close to, your cousins, your aunt, or friends, whatever, pick up the phone, talk to them. Take them to coffee. Don't be weird about it. Just say, and I mean, I had friends that didn't jump on with me, and that's okay. 10 years later, I have friends who are just now. I have a cousin that just now jumped on 10 years later because life circumstances changed. But I've loved her over the past 10 years. I've kept that relationship up. So, call people, talk to them face to face. Um, just to kind of finish my story, obviously, our team just grew. I feel like it was very authentic. We did lots of live events. We love dinners. We love coffees. We try to get face to face. To encourage you, I have never really had a local team. I've never grown a jewel in my hometown. Of all the hometowns I've had, if a jewel pops up, it's after I leave or something. So it's not like I got to have live. I hear so many people say, "Well, I just don't have a local team." That's okay. You don't have to reach the top. That's the power of Zoom. I'm a huge believer of Marco Polo. I love Marco Polo. If you don't have that app, you should, because you can just talk face to face with your people. Um, and because I have moved, I have learned the art of saying, this is just realistically how I do it. When somebody asks me, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" I'm like, "Oh, have you ever heard of Plexus?" Ask questions. People want to say, around here. So I moved to Rosemary, Inlet Beach, Florida, 30A, if you know the area. Y'all, 98% of the people will say no. Is that not crazy? 10 years later, I have moved to a place people don't know what Plexus is. Now, I've lived in places like Mobile, Alabama, where most people I felt like said yes, but I say, "Oh, it's a health and wellness company." My kids had severe eczema because I'm not on social media. I don't have to be compliant. Um, my kids had eczema, and my friend gave me a probiotic, and it cleared up their skin, and I jumped into the business, and I'm now a leader in their company, and it's what provides for my family. And you start a conversation. If it's you, back in the day when I first started in Mobile before I was a jewel, I would just say, "Oh, it's a health and wellness business. My family, my kids' skin cleared up with a probiotic." I hadn't even heard of probiotic. "Do you take a probiotic?" "No, I don't." "Oh, well, it's helping my family make a little extra income. I love the products and I love the business." You don't have to have this grand. You've just got to start a conversation. I feel like everybody wants to have this like long explanation. No. Do you take Most people these days, I would say, take a probiotic. "Oh, do you like your probiotic? What's it doing for you?" Most people say, "Oh, I can't really tell. I take it." "Oh, well, you should check out ours." My line, again, Jenny, sorry if this isn't how y'all train your team. I'm like, I love to say, "Hey, you don't even have to buy from me. You need to find somebody that sells Plexus because these products are great." I say that all the time, and maybe they do. Some people do go find somebody else, but a lot of times they're like, "Oh no, let me get your card." I do have cards. I never have them on me. So that's when I find them on Facebook. That's another thing. Meeting new people. School's about to start. How many of you have children starting school or maybe grandbabies and you're going to meet new parents? Um, I friend them. I find them on Facebook. I'm like, the number one question down here at the beach is, "What's your Instagram handle?" I don't know. I guess I'm not, I really do more Facebook than Instagram, but I'm on Instagram, and so I exchange. But that's why it's so important for me to make sure I'm telling my story over and over on Facebook. And I talked about this at Jules at Excellence. Sometimes we get tired of telling our own story, but we have to continue to share it compliantly. But we can talk about can talk about, oh, I can take my kids to Chick-fil-A. I can afford to take my kids to Big Kahunas. Oh, that was like $300 last week. I was like, before Plexus, I wouldn't even be able to do that. Um, just little things that you can do with your paycheck and how it makes you feel. But make sure you friend every person that you come across, because that's just adding to that network. Um, Another way, just personal, how I have continued to meet people. And y'all, I really am an introvert. I say God's put me in positions that I've had to learn to be extroverted, but I prefer to be in my closet. But gymnastics, baseball field, wherever you find yourself, church or wherever, I'm the person that will go take a book and sit in the corner because I'm like, I've got an hour while Lottie does flips. And I have to say, nope, I'm going to go sit and I'm going to make conversations. Not because I want a bunch of new customers or teammates, because I feel like if you get in the mindset of the only reason you're talking to people is for them to be on your Plexus team, people can smell that from a mile away. I think you have to practice and just not make yourself, but get into that you love people. I want to get to know different people, because that mom sitting beside you in gymnastics might not ever become your customer. But I've learned it only adds value to my life to get to know the people around me and in the communities I'm around. So get out of your shell when you get out. When you're at the grocery store, I was just with actually Noelle Waller. I met her at Jewels of Excellence, and she came down here to the beach. And I was watching her and Dan. They're both Emeralds and Plexus. And everyone they met, from the waitress, they got the waitresses, my waitress at the beach club that I see every single day. They're exchanging information. I'm like, but you know what? It's because, and Noelle says, she goes, I try to find the good in everybody I see. And I'm like, that's such a great tip. The mama at the grocery store that has a screaming baby, hey mama, you're doing a really good job. Oh, hey, I like that shirt. Where did you get it from? Become the person that just, and y'all, the world needs light right now. The world needs kindness. And what a privilege it is to be in a company that your job is not only to be in your team's encourager and your teammates, your customers encourager, and helping them get healthy, but your job really is to go out into your community and get to know people and just be a light to them and be kind to them. And I promise you, eventually it will pay off, because then they're gonna, it just all comes around. So I feel like I should stop because I didn't practice this or really think much about this, Jenny. So do you have any questions? Did I not cover something that you're like, I wanted you to cover? But that's really, here I am 10 years later. I love it. I'll be doing it in 10, 20 years, because I don't know, if you love it, you'll keep coming back.
Oh, I love it. I love, because sometimes we just get stuck with like how to start the conversation, but you're so right. You have to just be a person. Just be a person. And I love that you said that too, about like, I'm not going to go sit by this person because I want to sell plexus to them. It's taking like self-growth. Like, think of how good do you feel after you sit there and talk to that person. You feel so much better about yourself. They feel like they're not alone. Who knows how like God's going to work in that conversation with that person you just met. But it's like just that initial, like, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to choose to live, to speak, to do instead of shut down. Yeah, I thank you so much.
Welcome.
Right. And then, and just being a real person. Like, I loved your message. I used to share the business. I wrote it down too at Jewels of Excellence, or Leadership Excellence, when you're just like, yeah, I cleared up my kid's asthma, and like, don't make fun of me, but I want to make an income. Will you do this with me? Like, it does not have to be fancy. That's genuine. That's what people want to hear. They want to hear Julia. They want to hear you and whatever your unique little story is. And, if you feel weird about it, you aren't sure what to say, go bounce it off somebody and be like, this is my story. Does that sound weird? And be like, I'm sure that people will be like, no, it sounds like you're being authentic, and then, right, you just let the conversation flow.
Right.
So,
I
yep,
feel
I
like
love you.
I feel like I need to add. You can't just be nice and say hello and thank everybody for stuff. You do need to get over that. And what I have learned is when I say, oh, Candy, what do you do for a living? And they're like, oh, I'm an esthetician. They typically ask me. So make sure you're asking the right questions so they'll come back and be like, and that way you can share what you do, and you can share it with ease and excitement.
Yeah.
And it tends to work itself out, like I said, if you can
Yep.
have those conversations.
I love it. I have something that I always have something to add to the end, but I love in the very beginning where you said that Andrea and Angie and Ellen, they never gave up on you. Here's a hard lesson for you guys to learn. When I first started Plexus, she's now a diamond, and I think she's diamond something, like she went around again, or not double diamond, but maybe like a diamond ruby or whatever. I never followed back up with her after I told her about Plexus. Somebody else did. And Julie, she might even be on your team. I don't know. But
We
it's,
all have those that hurt because we're like,
yes, and it's a
"Thank you so
hard
much."
lesson because you didn't follow up and you didn't stick with it, and so I love how you just stay with it and just be their friend, and if they come around, they come around. They don't. But that's the beauty of it. So yeah, that was it's a hard lesson. But yeah. So, anyways, but thank you. That's so good. Jimmy, do you want to close it out?
Yeah, we're gonna do a little giveaway, and in honor of Julia, look, I got the book you recommended. So that's what we're
Love that
gonna
book.
give away tonight. Do you have anything to share about it, like what it's about and what it taught you?
Yes. Okay. So my counselor, which I highly recommend counseling, it took me, don't be stubborn like me. It took me like 8 years of Plexus before I got and probably life getting really hard before I finally got regular seeing a counselor. Do it, do it, do it. Don't wait till life is bad to get a counselor. But he recommended this book, and I'll tell you, I do love to read, but I love to read like Twilight. Okay. I want romance. I want like stuff like that. But I have actually read this book, I think, 6 times. Look, it's right here. And it's all, and those that know me, like if you ask me what my purpose is, I mean, I'm going to say to know God and make him known. Like I love Jesus and I want other people to know him. And it's what's just instilled in me. However, I just really started struggling with my identity. I'm like, okay, I mean, and I've been in my Plexus for 10 years, and I now have 5 kids, but I read it, and it's about finding your identity. And the first couple times I read it, I'm like, I don't know. I still don't know. And honestly, the Lord just really spoke clearly with me reading this. And and you're supposed to read it all in one setting. I didn't the first time, but the next time I did. So it's called Living Fearlessly. It's by Jamie Winship, who's I don't know what he does, honestly, but he was a police officer, but not anymore. Really great. So it maybe if you find yourself into that, just knowing your purpose, knowing your identity, and how she talked about culture, and just that was kind of my aha moment. Is if you follow me on social media, I love my theme breakfasts. I love my family. I love, like, I wanted my home has always been my kind of my identity, is as being a mom and creating this place that my kids love to be and they want to come back to. But I realized that's why I love Plexus. It's because I love creating a space that women feel like they belong and they have a place to come to. And I was like, this makes sense. That's the gifts that God's given me. Like I am good, and it's weird for me to even say, I'm good at building community. That is what I enjoy. So that's kind of what this book brought to me. I'll probably read it over and over. It's really good. You should buy it. Living Fearlessly by Jamie Winship. And you can win it. I don't know how you're gonna win it. How are you gonna win it, Jenny?
Well, I just want to hear comment in the chat, either a takeaway or just enthusiastically, yes, like I'm going to put myself out there. I am going to not be attached to the outcome of a conversation with someone. I'm just going to love on people, care about them, and I trust that things are going to come around full circle. Like just anything, if you want to say just like a statement of what you believe, or a takeaway of what you're going to go do, because isn't that it? Just getting over your mindset and just being a caring, loving person and opening your mouth, right? So how do we do this again, Lisa? How do I pick the winner? We pick a number. What do we?
So you can pick a number, and there's like probably without Jules, probably about 30 the 3 people on. So if you want to just pick a number, I can count, or you can just randomly scroll and put your finger on somebody, however you want to do it. It's your call.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll. Keep
Okay.
commenting.
Yeah,
And if you don't win this fabulous book that Julia has read so many times, it is 50% off on Amazon right now. So go ahead and get it for yourself. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Love it. Leaning into discomfort. Yes. Keep talking, keep sharing. Love people where they're at. Yep. Love people where they're at. Isn't that so good? It is so hard to not take an outcome personally, but it's a constant story that's unraveling and unraveling, and we don't really have control over that. We do have control over following up though, and being a good person for them to talk to. All right. Christina Jolly.
Yay.
All right. Message me on Facebook. It's Jenny Strike, Streich, and I'll get you one of these books. Thank you so much, Julia. You are amazing. Like,
Thank you, Julia.
thank you. So meant to be to meet you on this trip. Just so inspired by you. Thank you so much.
Yep. All righty,
All
guys.
right.
See y'all next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.